Josh here, and today I wanted to jump in and talk about the top 5 most savage weapons in the Crucible right now in Destiny 2. Those meta weapons, man, the weapons that when you get killed by them, you're more inclined to say, man, that guy, all he ever uses is this, that, or the other. I know exactly how you feel, so I thought it'd be fun to talk about these weapons, guys, and perhaps you're looking for what's strong right now, or maybe you already know and you just want to kind of have a conversation. What do you think of these weapons? I'd be curious to hear down below. Do you think the weapons in the game should be as strong as the strongest weapons right now? Do Bungie need to nerf things or buff things? I'd definitely be curious to hear what you guys think. So up first, when all hope is lost, there is one last hope, and of course this is the sidearm right now. This thing is just so potent in the Crucible. It's like Wormwood all over again. So this is an Omolon adaptive frame weapon, so it fires in 3-round bursts. It is a pulsed sidearm essentially. We have control SAS and farpoint SAS. We've got ricochet rounds, so they're going to bump up your stability and range, as well as steady rounds, which will optimize for recoil control. And you also have Zen Moment, causing damage with the weapon increases its stability. And look at that stability, super high stability sidearm, pretty high impact as well. Of course, firing in bursts, it causes a bunch of flinch to targets. And inside of the Crucible, it just absolutely shreds. I'm actually not the best with this sidearm, to be quite honest, but a lot of people are using it, especially hunters, man, because of how well you can do kind of in the air with this thing. And on top of that, of course, going invis and then sneaking up on someone with the last hope, it's so strong right now, it's incredibly brutal. And I guess it's just a combination. That rate of fire and the damage is fantastic. It kills very quickly in the Crucible, but also it works really well at kind of fairly long ranges. It's a very high stability weapon. This is just one of the most destructive weapons in the game right now in the Crucible. I'm sure at the very least you've been killed by this thing once or twice. If you haven't used it, you can pick it up from the gunsmith. It is a random drop. There is one SMG in the game that has kind of risen to power. I'm talking about the Antiope D, or the Antiope D. There are so many arguments about how you say that right now, but this is a precision frame Hake SMG. We've got GB Iron as well as SC Hollow, which do actually change how the sides look. Ricochet rounds once again, tactical mag, and we have kill clip. Reloading after a kill grants increased damage. So this is 600 rounds per minute, the slowest firing SMG type in the game. Just look at that range on this thing as well. It's absolutely awesome. It doesn't have the highest stability when you look at it, but being a lower rate of fire weapon, this isn't as big of a deal as, say, on a lot of the Soros SMGs, which have crazy recoil. This thing is without a doubt the easiest SMG you can use in the game. That stability and the recoil pattern in general, as well as its range capability, make it really, really flexible and really effective in general in the Crucible. You've also got to remember that ricochet rounds is on the weapon, which is going to bump up stability as well as range and allow those rounds to ricochet off hard surfaces, so in close range, it's just devastating. You also have the fact that this has kill clip, the only SMG in the game that essentially has reactive reload. It is without a doubt my favorite SMG currently in Destiny 2. Gotta give a quick honorable mention to the Hero's Burden, which is the Iron Banner SMG. I'm not a fan of the Soros SMGs, but the Iron Banner one is fairly easy to control. You also have high caliber rounds, as well as increased stability and handling when enemies are up close, so in very, very close range, it is probably the better SMG, although I do feel like Antiope does have a bit of an edge because it's more flexible, and just having kill clip is stupid on an SMG. I'm going to take a look at a power weapon now though. We have the main ingredient. In my opinion, this is the best fusion rifle in the game. Right back in the beta for Destiny 2, it was just absolutely ridiculous and it hasn't really changed. So it does have precision frame. We've got a bunch of different kind of sight options here depending on your preference. We have enhanced battery, strong battery life for increased mag. We've got liquid coils, which decreases the charge time but does increase damage. And we also have rampage. Kills with the weapon temporarily grant increased damage, which stacks 3 times. Across the board with stats, it does really, really well. It actually has one of the highest range stats for a fusion rifle, and going back to Destiny 1, range would affect how tightly projectiles would group on a fusion rifle shot. So of course, the tighter the grouping, the more likely you are to actually hit the target. And if that's still the case in Destiny 2, which it probably is to a degree at least, that's definitely going to be a contributing factor to why main ingredient feels so good. The thing about main ingredient is it feels like every single projectile is actually tracking whatever you're firing at. The recoil pattern on the weapon is very, very vertical, so you're not dealing with kind of side-to-side kick on the weapon, which definitely helps with fusions, but also just at range, it seems to still hit targets really, really effectively. man, it's just ridiculous. Use main ingredient if you want a good fusion rifle, just do it. Of course, we have Uriel's Gift, the dominant PvP auto rifle in the game right now. So this is precision frame. We've got different sight options. Once again, you guys have probably seen them. We've got high caliber rounds. It kind of feels silly even talking about this. Everyone knows. High caliber rounds are just brutal, steady rounds. We've got tap the trigger, increased stability and accuracy on initial trigger pull. So it's 450 rounds per minute. I feel like that's generally the very solid, flexible class of assault rifle right now. It has very impressive range, Uriel's Gift, which certainly contributes to how well it does in the Crucible. And this archetype's damage also feels like it's the best at kind of longer medium ranges. It is essentially an absolute laser beam, which is one of the #1 reasons it's popular. Of course, tap the trigger is going to help you with that accuracy when you first start firing the weapon, but also high caliber rounds is going to increase the flinch from the weapon on your enemy targets. They're going to find it harder to hit you back. And combining all of these really strong things about the weapon just makes it an absolute beast in the Crucible. Of course, there are other options. There's Origin Story, and you've also got the number from FWC, also incredibly strong. But Uriel's Gift is kind of the most potent one just because of that combination of how accurate it is and the fact that it has high caliber rounds. But it is nice to see auto rifles in such a good place in the game right now. And then of course there is the #1 piece of meta trash, dude. We've got the Mida Multi-Tool. This is the weapon that everybody loves to hate right now. Of course, it has Mida Multi-Tool. It boosts your movement speed. It has high caliber rounds, which is really obnoxious, of course. And then we have Mida Radar. Your radar stays active while aiming down sights. And just look at that handling and reload speed. They're two of the things about the weapon that make it really appealing. On top of this, though, it has ridiculous aim assist. It just sticks to targets inside of the Crucible at all kinds of ranges. It feels really, really good. Also, when you fire the weapon, it pretty much kicks directly vertical up and then lands pretty much back on the target without you really doing any extra work. Of course, again, high cal is going to increase flinch on targets. It's going to make it harder for your enemies to hit you back, and that's always been a thing that made Mida strong even in Destiny 1. They even removed high caliber rounds from the weapon in Destiny 1 because it was too obnoxious, and they've returned it in Destiny 2, although high caliber rounds is looking like it actually does a bit less in D2 than it did in D1. If you ask me though, it's still generally pretty strong, but of course, having the radar at all times right now in the Crucible is just absolutely huge, and that's a massive factor for the Mida Multi-Tool that a lot of people don't really talk about. Just pay attention to the radar when you aim in and out on a weapon. The penalty when you kind of aim back out is a pretty long period of time where you're waiting for that radar to come back up. So there we go, Mida Multi-Tool, really dominant right now. Of course, scout rifles are very good as well in this game. So of course, these are the strong weapons in the game right now, or just some of the strong weapons. Most weapons do actually feel pretty good. I feel like pulse rifles and hand cannons are kind of the main losers currently. That's not to say they're completely trash, but they do feel kind of bad in comparison to what is definitely really strong at the moment, and I definitely want to see what you think below. For now though, I hope you have enjoyed this video, guys. If you have, a like and comment below is very much appreciated. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit subscribe to see a lot more Destiny 2 content. But for now, I hope you guys have an awesome day.